pull up a crate and sit by the fire. You look like you walked a few too many miles on the I-20 without a drink. Let me tell you about that trio heading west, seeking something called absolution. I reckon there ain't no stranger group of travelers than the three that walked out of the heat haze near Weatherford. You got James Rohan, a man carrying a heavy iron on his hip and a heavier weight on his soul, looking for a purpose in this God-forsaken dust bowl. You got Daisy, a firecracker of a girl who's traded a waitress apron for Raider leathers and lived to tell the tale, and floating alongside him, Hank, an old rusted out Mr. Farmhand with a cow skull strapped to his chassis, haunted by some failure from several lifetimes ago. They was following that radio signal from the Order of the Crimson Shepherd up in Lubbock, promising peace, promising rest. But brother, in my experience, the only thing granting rest in Texas is a grave. But they seemed intent on believing it anyway. They were coming up on the Red Tap Bar. You might know the place. Hell, it's likely the last watering hole before the long, dry stretch all the way up to Lubbock. But the wasteland don't give up ground easy. They got jumped. Feral ghouls. Or so they looked at first glance. But these things, they didn't shamble. They didn't lurch. They didn't run. They moved like snakes in the grass, fluid and wrong. We're calling them dust eaters. The fight was ugly, short, and loud. Rohan, well, he didn't hesitate. He leveled that .44 Magnum and blew the arm clean off one of those freaks. That gun of his sounded like righteous thunder rolling across the plains. But here's the kicker. It didn't bleed red, or even that black sludge, like some of them old ferals do. Nah, all that came out of that cursed thing was a cloud of black dust, puffing out like a kicked up spore cloud. Daisy got in the mix and went straight to work with that heavy tire iron of hers, cracking ribs like she was chopping wood. But one of them creepy old serpents slipped past her guard. It clamped those rotten teeth down on her arm. Nasty business. Crunched right through her arm plate down to the bone. Old Hank spun up that buzzsaw attachment. That terrifying sound, let me tell you. And took the head right off the varmint chewing on Daisy. But for Daisy, well, the damage was done. The That arm of hers hung there limp and bleeding. The last one slipped in and flung itself like an old wet sack of rags. Tried to pin Rohan to the dirt, maybe looking to choke the life out of him. Who knows? But Daisy, man, even with a mangled arm, she surged forward and skewered the thing with her iron before it could finish the job. Wrenched the sharp end of that old tire iron round till it stopped twitching. Once the dust settled, old Hank went to work. He used his veterinary databanks to patch Daisy up. He got the splint on straight, but he seemed rattled. Said the wound didn't look right. The flesh around it was strange. Somehow they picked through the corpses like you do. Didn't find much, just some trinkets and trash, except for a lucky break in the trunk of a burned out box truck. A single fresh stim pack. That's pure gold in the wasteland. Bruised, bloody, and one stiff breeze away from falling over. They stood before the entrance of the Red Tap Bar. The neon sign was buzzing and flickering, casting a sickly red glow over the pavement. They were hoping for a cold drink and a friendly face. But looking at that flickering light, I got a bad feeling they're walking into something a whole lot worse than what they just killed outside.